What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So, ahead of this Miami Dolphins Week 5 game, I wanted to discuss our offensive line, which actually puts something of at least an average tape on film for us. And we actually seen a few players that stepped up, but the purpose of this video is Robert Saleh made an interesting comment regarding keeping the best five offensive linemen on the field for us, which should seem like a no-brainer. But obviously, we've had injuries like crazy to our tackle position, and we're doing everything we can right now just to have at least an NFL level talented individual be able to help block and run support for Zach Wilson and the running back room. So if I had it my way, I have two variations of the best offensive line that we can trot out against the Miami Dolphins in Week 5. So at left tackle, we had some injury news that looks like it may be a great deal for us. Dwayne Brown, he's coming back from being off injured reserve. He's been able to practice a little bit. Robert Saleh has mentioned this week of practice has gone well. They're still easing him into things, but he could be a game time decision. And if he ends up making it, this will give us an automatic huge boost. We're talking about the fact that he's a game time decision is already a plus because the Miami Dolphins can't prepare for either him or Alijah Vera-Tucker or Connie Mcgovern, whoever we want to roll out at left tackle. Secondly, we're talking about finally getting a guy back that had 203 games of experience. We've seen him dominate in his most recent seasons, and as recently as the 2021 season, he was a Pro Bowl level talent. So even though he's 37, it's not like he's fallen off a cliff in terms of production and what he can offer. So I would be extremely excited to see Dwayne Brown back. And if he is good to go, I say we need to make sure that he is the tackle at left on the left side, even though Alijah Vera-Tucker did a very great job on short notice, even though he did have that, couple weeks of prep that they mentioned on the back end to get ready. So Dwayne Brown would be my go-to for left tackle. At the left guard spot, Laken Tomlinson has been a huge sore on this offensive line, and it made me go back and look because there was a lot of hype about us bringing him over, and then there was a lot of supporting stats about why he was a great signing. There was also some interesting stats about why he may not have been a great signing as well. So if we look back at it, during his time with the 49ers, and even when he was originally drafted, right, he didn't live up to his billing. He found his footing with the 49ers, but he's not necessarily excelling in one area as an offensive lineman. He's generally about average to above average in terms of physical traits and things that you look for. He's also susceptible to giving up a lot of pressures on either gap. So that has always been a very prevalent part of his film, but he seems like he had found a level of consistency and being able to piece things together, and having this wide zone scheme that we're running kind of favors his short area ability where he generally excels the most at. So there's not really one thing that we can say that's led to him being a complete disappointment. We just have to have the belief that he can turn it around. And so I would still like to potentially see him at left guard. However, I say the leash should be very short. Contract aside, I think if we needed a substitute, then we can throw Alijah Vera-Tucker back in at left guard. And here will be my reason why once we get into this a little further. For now, let's say Laken Tomlinson is still at left guard. Center is going to be Connie Mcgovern. For whatever people love or hate about the man, average traits, he still has above average to elite technician ability in terms of how he's supposed to handle his role as an offensive lineman. And one of the best things that I can give to him as a compliment is that he's unnoticeable, which is a great thing on the offensive line. He's not being heavily penalized. He's not causing, as severe problems as Laken Tomlinson. And he generally fits that mold of kind of being like a quiet top 15 center in the NFL, which from the likes of what we had with Kevin Mawai and Nick Mangold, it's a steep drop off, but nonetheless, I'm glad that we still have him in his services. He's also a perfect scheme fit, so it's just a perfect marriage of what we were looking for and what he offers. At the right guard spot, Nate Herbig showed out. I think that he did more than an admirable job in his first start. He only allowed 3 pressures. He's seen 100% of the snaps, so he played about 70 snaps. He actually ended up grading out as one of our top offensive linemen and technically one of the top 5 players overall in week 4 with the 61.6 PFF grade. So having him back in the mold and maybe giving him another round of snaps as a starter, we said he could potentially be a steal when we scooped him up from the Eagles before, and we're kind of seeing why. Having that ability to move Alijah Vera-Tucker wherever we need to, and then being able to insert in another guard that may not be quite in like the elite category like Alijah Vera-Tucker is. He's definitely above average, and he's done an amazing job for us. And then at right tackle, I would have Alijah Vera-Tucker. We're talking about the best offensive lineman that we have by far, a top 5 to top 10 candidate at guard. You can make the case based on what we've seen at left tackle that he could probably finish in the top half of the tackle rankings as well. His versatility is undisputed amongst anybody anywhere in league circles. And so outside of potentially maybe center, we can really put him at any spot, and we should expect that we will have at least an average performance or an above average outing, and sometimes elite, depending on how gelled together the offensive line can be. And this isn't a huge change for him. Granted, he's never quite played right tackle before, but this will be another tool belt in his bag, and something that'll favor him as well coming up will be that this will increase his contract value as we look to secure him in the future. So this would be my potential lineup number 1. The second bet would be for me that and this is still assuming Dwayne Brown can start, have Dwayne Brown at left tackle, Alijah Vera-Tucker subs in at left guard for Tomlinson. Connie Mcgovern will still hold down the fort at center. Nate Herbig would be the guard once again on the right side, and then we would have Connor McDermott, who actually looked like he could be a decent NFL lineman at right tackle. So maybe we've been playing him out of position this entire time, but he was definitely serviceable and didn't look like the worst player on the offensive lineman by far. So if that's what we can get out of him, I think that would give us one of the best offensive lines. Again, that's all predicated on Dwayne Brown being ready. If not, then that kind of goes out the window, and we're looking at what we rolled out in week 4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But considering the performance we did, I think we made out pretty well. So it will be interesting to see what we end up rolling out against the Miami Dolphins, but let me know your guys' thoughts. Who do you consider our top 5 offensive linemen, and where would you line up some of these guys at? Keep in mind right now, even though as bad as the offensive tackle position is and as bad as Laken Tomlinson has been, there was a stat I came across that we allowed 336 interior pressures. I think it was something crazy like that in 2021. So we badly need to make sure that we are still having the best guards available out there. The tackles, hopefully we can minimize some things between having tight ends help chip and some of these some of our running backs throwing some chip blocks out there. But again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Definitely looking forward to it, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.